With Val, we're going to start off with a disturbing case out of East Feliciana Parish.
A grand jury will now decide whether or not to charge the parents of a 36-year-old disabled woman who was found dead, lying in filthy conditions. In fact, the coroner called it the worst case of neglect he's ever seen.
Sheriff's deputies showed up on scene like within 30 seconds. They deemed that it was obviously a deceased individual. So they called me.
36-year-old Lacey Fletcher, who we're told suffered from a disability, was not breathing. The coroner says her body was found here on this old sofa.
When I first walked in the house, it smelled of feces, fecal material, however you want to put that politely. It stunk. When I got to the body, the individual was basically sitting in a hole filled with liquid stool and urine.
Dr. Bickham called deputies with the East Feliciana Parish Sheriff's Office to process the scene and start an investigation, thinking something potentially criminal had happened here.
After we processed the scene, I was able to place her body in a black body bag, and I took it down to Jefferson Parish for autopsy.
He and investigators at the Jefferson Parish Forensic Center ruled Fletcher's death as a homicide. They believe she died as a result of at least a decade of medical neglect.
It's the worst form of medical neglect I've ever seen. I mean, I don't know any other adjectives or adverbs to add to that.
Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Jessica Blackbird. Please like, share, and subscribe. This, ladies and gentlemen, is Mr. Clay and his lovely wife, Sheila Fletcher. They are from Slaughter, Louisiana. This lovely looking couple left their 36-year-old daughter, Lacey Fletcher, who was completely disabled, immobile. She couldn't do anything for herself. She suffered from something called locked-in syndrome, which I had to look it up. Meant that she was like frozen. She couldn't move any muscle in her body. So they were supposed to take care of her, feeding, dressing, bathing, everything she needed. This lovely couple left their daughter in this. This is a sofa where they left her. People don't know how long Lacey had been there, but when she was found dead on January 3rd, her body was fused to the sofa. She had bed sores, wounds that were so deep that the bone was showing in her bottom and all over. She had sores all over. She was covered in maggots. She had feces in her mouth, her nose, and her stomach. She also had pieces of the sofa cushion found in her stomach. The urine and feces had gone through the sofa all the way to the floor, and she'd been there so long that the floor had begun to buckle.
Good evening. First tonight, horrific new details about that story we've been following all week. A woman left to starve to death on a couch for years.
What you're about to hear and see is unsettling. Graphic and disturbing new information that is an important part of this ongoing story, but maybe too graphic for kids or if you happen to be eating dinner. The investigative unit and Chris Nakamoto first to break this story, and here now with what else he has uncovered.
Michael, Sylvia, doctors and law enforcement tell me they've never seen a neglect case this severe. 36-year-old Lacey Fletcher had been stationary for so long, sources say her body turned into a statue. Her immobility, coupled with a total lack of care, have her parents facing possible murder charges by a grand jury that will convene Monday. Again, to remind you, the story you're about to see may not be suitable for everyone.
Don't be fooled by the well-kept nature of the outside of this neatly manicured home in East Feliciana Parish. Tonight we're getting a further glimpse of the horror inside. This picture, obtained by the WBRZ investigative unit, shows the living room floor. Underneath the sofa where Lacey Fletcher was found, the floors were buckling from years of urine and feces leaking onto them.
Oh yeah, I've been in the house, yeah.
When was the last time you were in that house?
15 years ago. Because me and him at one time was on the planning and zoning committee at the town.
New tonight, sources say her parents were out of town on the Saturday and Sunday before she was reported dead that Monday. Their neighbors telling us they always saw them on the go.
They go to church, you know, every weekend, and I mean, do anything for anybody, you know.
Sources say Fletcher was so neglected she was covered in feces from head to toe. Her hair hadn't seen a brush in years, and records indicate the last time she was seen by a doctor was 20 years ago at the age of 16.
Despite all of the programs the state has available for people with disabilities, Lacey Fletcher wasn't signed up for any of them. Our sources say her parents were her sole caretakers. And our sources also say that they could not find any health insurance claims on her record.
Fletcher was found dead on this couch. Dr. Ewell Bickham, coroner of East Feliciana Parish, described her sitting in a latrine or cesspool, her entire body covered with open wounds to the bone as she melted in filth. Fletcher only weighed 96 pounds when she died and was so hungry, sofa foam was found in her stomach along with feces. Feces discovered in her mouth, nostrils, and hair. The 36-year-old woman had a severe case of autism, and it's estimated she hadn't moved from the couch in years.
We don't mind assisting.
Tonight, advocates for those with disabilities continue to call for the parents to be arrested.
They should have went to jail that night.
For what they did to their daughter, who was nonverbal.
What do you think should happen to the parents up there in East Feliciana Parish?
Jail. It was a crime. Literally, someone lost their life.
Again, a grand jury will meet Monday morning to hear the facts of this case. Depending on what they decide, the parents could face charges of cruelty to the infirm or possibly something greater. Their lawyer said this week the couple did not want to relive this case through the media, and they were suffering heartache too. Sylvia?
So, according to Baton Rouge Proud, these two people could possibly face charges after their daughter was found by authorities dead on a couch in their home on January 3rd. This happened on January 3rd, but we're all just finding out about this maybe 2 days ago it came out. Slaughter Police Department responded to a call regarding an unresponsive person on Tom Drive. When officials arrived at the residence, they found the body and immediately contacted the East Feliciana Parish Coroner's Office. The Coroner's Office said 36-year-old Lacey Fletcher, who had disability issues, was found sitting in a hole in the couch. According to East Feliciana Parish Coroner Dr. Ewell Bickham, I think that's how you say his name, upon walking in, the home smelled of fecal matter and Fletcher's body was sitting in feces and urine. Dr. Bickham said her death stemmed from years of medical neglect and ruled the manner of death as a homicide. He will be presenting the case to a grand jury on Monday in hopes of charging the parents, Clay and Sheila Fletcher, for the death of their daughter. So let me ask you all something. These two people have not been charged with anything after the severe neglect that their daughter was found in. And they haven't been charged with anything. I mean, this is ridiculous. And I'll carry on with the story. Clay and Sheila Fletcher's attorney shared the following statement on Wednesday. And I quote, "They don't want to relive the pain of losing a child through the media. They have been through a lot of heartache over the years. Anyone who has lost a child knows what it's like." Oh, wow. You caused this. You didn't take care of your child. I've read so many people say these people were church going. They went to church every weekend. They participated in things around the community. They were always coming and going, and you know, people did not even know that they had a child. Nobody in their circle knew that they had a child. And yes, she's a grown woman, but she was still like a child because she needed them to do everything for her. And it also came out that these people never filed one insurance claim for the child, for the young woman. They didn't hire anyone to come in and help with her care. They just left her there on a couch with nothing to eat, filthy, until she died. It also came out that she, during the autopsy, she tested positive for COVID-19. So at some point she was positive for COVID. So who knows if that is what killed her finally, you know, caused her death. But all of the things and the neglect is what really led to her death. And she had been there, like just melting into the couch, becoming one with the couch, eating the foam from the couch. So, I mean, they really need to go to prison. We need to push for them to go to prison. Because if it was one of us, a younger woman, younger man of any color, we'd be under the jailhouse right now.